Make an opening statement, and we'll take some questions.
All right, well, great to see everybody. Thank you for coming today. Obviously, we're very excited to get back to playing football and excited to have a chance to play the number 14 team in the country, a tremendous team in Oklahoma State. I feel like our team took some steps over the bye week. Felt like a couple guys got healthy, and I think overall our mentality, we're continuing to get tougher, to grow up a little bit, and hopefully we can become a better team this week than we were last week. Before I go on, this is late, but I should have said this, but I just wanted to make sure I thanked the Baylor fans and parents that came out to Kansas State. That's not an easy trip, but we had a great contingent, and I was grateful to them. And funny, my wife mentioned that to me after the game, and it was really good to see. You know, even though we lost a football game, our players went down and thanked them in person on the field, and we're grateful to them, and we're grateful to all the people that are going to travel to Oklahoma State and help us as we go into hostile territory. I also want to make sure I thank all the high school coaches, administrators, teachers, all the people that allowed us to go out on the road recruiting Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You know, our staff did not take a break. We worked on football to Wednesday and then headed out on the road to see the next generation, the next crop of great Baylor football players. And I would just say this, the response was overwhelming from the coaches in Texas. And I know that was a lot of questions about a lot of people. How would Matt Rhule resonate with the coaches in Texas? How would the staff that wasn't from Texas? And I think through the adversity that we've been through, we've been able to build some real connections with a lot of the coaches in the state of Texas. And I think a lot of those guys know what we're going through. They know the work that we're putting in. They know that despite losing, we're still trying to do a great job with their players and their student athletes and always putting their attention first. So that bond, that connection, I think, is only getting stronger. And I know we weren't able to talk to the kids while we're out there, but really pleased with where recruiting is. I think there's a lot of young men that see that this isn't a staff that's afraid to play young players. And we're not afraid to play a lot of guys on defense. We're playing 22, 25 guys on defense, and we're playing a lot of guys on offense. And even though we're not consistent offensively, we are leading the nation in big plays. We have the nation's leading, touchdown receivers. So I think there's receivers, there's quarterbacks, there's running backs, there's kids on offense and defense that are excited about where we're headed, and so it was really good to get out on the field, out on the road recruiting. So I think grateful to them. Proud of our kids. Worked really hard last week. Took a couple days this weekend to go back home, see our families, regenerate, and now we have 7 games here, a 7-game stretch to go become a really good football team. And a lot of guys got better. A lot of guys worked hard. It's be a tremendous challenge going to Stillwater, playing Oklahoma State. As good an offense as you'll see in the country. I think they're number 2 in total offense, number 2 in scoring offense. James Washington's a dynamic playmaker. Mason Rudolph is accurate, and more important than anything else, he's calling the game with the line. He's getting him in the right play. He looks like a pro quarterback, and what's not talked about enough is their run game is fantastic, and they do a great job up front. Physical, rugged offensive line, and Justice Hill is really a special back for a sophomore. So it'll be a real challenge for our defense. And one thing I do want to say, I think sometimes some of our defensive kids think, hey, we're playing better defense than we have. This isn't good enough the way we're playing defense. We want to be a top 25 defense, and we're certainly not anywhere close to that right now. But how that's going to happen is we have to stop the run. We're not just trying to limit the points and try to win in shootouts. We want to play great defense. And so we've got to stop the run, which is no easy challenge this week. We've got to limit the explosive plays, which Oklahoma State's dynamic at. Their ability to throw and catch the deep ball is fantastic. And then we have to generate turnovers. And we're -5 for the year. We only have 1 interception. And we've got good players in the secondary. So we have got to have more interceptions, more forced fumbles than we have right now. And so those are the things defensively that I know Phil and his staff are looking towards. Offensively, we're going to have a challenge going up against this defense. They've got some different looks. They're really, really multiple. Coach does a tremendous job of, putting you in a bunch of different positions where you have to have a veteran group that can get in the right play versus the right defense. And they've got some really, really talented defensive players, my favorite of which is DeQuinton Osborne. I think he's one of the best defensive linemen in the Big 12. I love the way he plays. I look forward to shaking his hand after the game. And offensively, while we've been explosive and we've had the big plays, we've gotten much better at third down in the last 2 weeks. We've got to find a way to in some way generate some sort of consistency on the ground, and that's eliminating the penalties. I showed our team when we don't have a penalty, we're scoring a touchdown about, I think it was 46% of the time, which is not bad. when we have a penalty on offense, we're scoring a touchdown, scoring about 24% of the time. So it's the discipline to go into enemy territory and not have penalties that will allow us to score about twice as much. And that seems simple when you think about it, but it's hard to do. So that's what we're pushing our team forward with, and hopefully with Ish Wainwright coming back, Jordan Feuerbacher coming back, Jermichael Hasty coming back, maybe we can get a few more vets out there that can handle that sort of an environment. So with that, I'll see what kind of questions you guys have.
I feel like this is maybe as healthy as you guys have been since the start of the season.
Yeah, in many ways. But we have a lot of guys, though, that are banged up just from the season, But, this is a tough man's game. And, it's about who can play through the bumps and bruises, who can play through, when they don't feel 100%. But it is nice to have some of those guys back. And, what kind of role Ish Wainwright will play, after being out for a while. And, you come back off a mono, you still don't feel it. We'll see. And Jordan's been playing with that cast. I think that's not talked about enough. The sacrifice Feuerbacher's made to play with a broken hand with a cast on. Now he can finally go out so we can start throwing the ball to the tight end again. Rob Stallings got hurt, so he had I said in the Big 12 conference, but he'll have his shoulder cleaned up. Thankfully the rule in the NCAA is if you play in no more than 4 of the first 6 games, you can apply for a red shirt for that season. So Rob played in 4 games, didn't play the first game, played in 4 games, and will have surgery now. So he'll have that experience of playing this year. He'll have to overcome the surgery, but he'll have a chance to play next year. So, but I think we're probably about as healthy as we have been in terms of the bodies that are out there playing for us.
Matt, you mentioned all the freshmen you've been playing. Is that comparable to your first year at Temple? Were you playing this many freshmen?
I was.
What kind of challenge is that?
Well, it's just everything's the first time in a lot of ways, and so. When they go on the road and they go to Kansas State and it's electrifying, that atmosphere, that's the first time. So we'll do it this week and, it's the second time. But you just don't have that wisdom. We always tell our guys, you either learn from wisdom or experience. Wisdom's when you learn from the mistakes of others. Experience is when you learn from your own mistakes. Most of us, when mom says don't do this, you do it anyway and you learn from your own experience. So we're making a lot of mistakes that, that are causing us to lose. The nice thing is when they're young, they learn from them, you teach them, you coach them, you don't panic, you just keep teaching, and you hope that when they're sophomores and juniors, juniors and seniors, that they win a lot of games. So that's what happened at Temple. Those kids that, lost on a Hail Mary to Fordham, that lost on the 4th and 12 to Rutgers, they ended up beating everybody pretty much because they had learned from those tough losses. So as bad as the record is, as much as we don't like our record right now, we've had the ball in the 4th quarter with a chance to take the lead or tie in every football game. So we're not losing by 20 points. We're not losing by 25 points. We're not losing by, I think, they had the average margin of defeat right now is about 9 points. And so how do you make up those 9 points? Well, you don't drop the punt. You don't snap the ball over all these little mistakes. And that's not to call anyone. They're everywhere. Tech got on the bus after the last game, and he looked like he had seen a ghost from that snap over. I said, whoa, wait a minute now. There's about 100 plays in that game that if we could go back would change the outcome of this game. And so, we believe that there's 5 or 6 plays in every game that are going to give us a chance to either win or lose, and we just haven't won those 5 or 6 plays. But when they're freshmen, if they believe that, if they just don't listen to everybody else, because everybody else is going to say, and it means well, but they're going to say, do this differently, do that, no, do this better. And if they get good at that, when they're freshmen, the sophomores, they just keep growing. Eventually, you have a house built on rock, built on a foundation. So that's the hard part about freshmen, but it is the exhilarating part. It's like I'm tired of people texting me saying, hey, hang in there. Hey, are you okay? I'm great. Because we're teaching young kids that need taught, and we are taking them through one of the most adverse times of their life, and we're trying to do it in a really, really positive way, but a really truthful way. You guys come to practice. I coach really hard at practice. Maybe not when the cameras are there. I might be really nice when the cameras are there, but we're coaching really, really hard, but we're teaching them, hey, this is how you really, really build us, play the game the right way. And so it's frustrating now, but you're going to look out there one day and Jalen Petrie's going to know how to do everything right. And we're fighting right now for Taylor Young. We're fighting right now for Davion Hall and Mo Porter because we want them to go out on top. But because Taylor's done a lot of great things here. Those seniors have done a lot of great things. The biggest thing that they're going to do is teach our freshmen how to win. And we're learning how to lose right now, how not to lose eventually. So we've learned how to lose. Now we're learning how not to lose. We're getting better. Now we've got to go learn how to win. And that's really hard to do. It's really hard to, unless you're like way, way better than the other team, it's really hard to win in college football. And our kids are learning it the right way. And they have the leadership from the older guys and then the youth of the young guys So that's why I'm having a great time doing it. I really am. I'm having a good time doing this. Our coaches are having a good time doing this because you can see the light go on in a couple more kids' eyes each and every week. And, as I see Denzel Mims, the light go on, Jordan Williams, the light go on, I say to myself, just keep getting more and more kids have the switch go off. And so that's to me the hard part about playing a freshman. But that's what we did at Temple. And I don't like to talk about Temple too much other than, you know what, I got a lot of scouts here, and all they talk about is those kids that were freshmen on that team that are playing in the NFL. There's the first round draft pick, but there's a lot of free agents and seventh round kids that go to the Steelers and become special teams captains. And they were freshmen and sophomores on those teams that lost, and they're the ones texting me saying, "Hey, coach, we've been through this before." And so that's the whole point with the young kids is just push them through it. B.J. Thompson, DeMarco Artis. Because I think you asked me about DeMarco yesterday. He practiced with the varsity yesterday. We're hoping he can go this week. Just get him out there, let him play, let him make mistakes, let him grow, and just keep coaching him each and every step along the way.
Matt, Raj and Verkedrick starting at safety, is that injuries or were those guys just playing that much better?
Well, Verkedrick's played really, really well. And Verkedrick's practiced really, really well. And Raj has been playing like in our dime package. Chris Miller's been banged up. He didn't play against Kansas State. He got hurt in the middle of the game against Oklahoma. And we're hopeful he can practice today. So I always do this based off of if today. But I think he might be able to go. Tayon got banged up in the Kansas State game, didn't practice last week. I'm hopeful maybe Tayon can practice today. So we've been at safety. We've been playing sort of a committee of guys, so 4 or 5 guys anyway. And I'm hopeful that some of those guys will go. So Tootie's questionable for this week. Chris Miller's questionable. Tayon Sells is questionable. All those guys are questionable physically for this week coming out of those Oklahoma and Kansas State games, not off of anything that happened last week.
Coach, Hasty and Williams, any change in status? Are you looking at playing them this week? What's the running back situation?
Well, we'll start Lovett. He's growing, but I think that long run showed what he can do. I think Ebner's done a nice job. It's like sort of our third down back, picking up the blitzes. Jamichael's going to go full today, so we think Jamichael. He practiced last week, limited, and then he practiced yesterday, so we think Jamichael's ready to go, and if so, we're going to use him. And Terrence is sort of coming along. So I think he's getting healthier now, and so we have 4 backs that are up and ready, and who we use the most will probably depend on who practices the best. And once we get into the game, we'll try to go with the hot hand if there's somebody that's playing at a high level. Like I thought Lovett hit a couple nice little runs last game, and that's why I put him back in, instead of some of the other backs late in the game, and then he hit that 85-yarder. It just looked like that was his game. He was seeing it. So we'll get into the game and see who's feeling it, who's seeing it. And we have to do a good job as coaches of trying to get those guys in a rhythm by giving the football a little bit more than we have.
You talk about getting healthier. No word on KJ Smith. He's not on the depth chart. What's his status update? Yeah,
KJ's out now, and he'll probably be out for a while. He's he's getting better, which is good. But that's not like a contact injury. That's just repetition of him moving around and stuff on his legs, and leading to shin splints and then possibly stress fractures. So we're just trying to make sure we take care of him for his future and don't hurt him. So we don't want to rush anybody back. We certainly don't want to rush KJ back with that injury. So we're just getting him healthy. The doctors, I think, are doing a really good job with him, and hopefully maybe he'll come back at the end of the year. And if not, we want to make sure we leave him out there as healthy as he can be.
Deontay's a young guy that's played a couple different positions. Is that tough for a young guy, and how has he done?
Yeah, you don't really want to take a kid from Mike to defensive end and take him from defensive end to Sam and take him from Sam back to defensive end, but that's kind of where we are, right? So I think Deontay's his end position, we think he's going to be a really good pass rusher at some point, be a really good defensive end. And Deontay has a lot of talent. It's him understanding the importance of playing hard, the urgency of details, the importance of being where you're supposed to be. It's all those sort of young guy, redshirt freshman things that we just need him to accelerate. But Deontay can be and will be at some point a difference maker for the football team, and he's had some really good moments. We moved him to Sam just because of Terrell Bernard hurt his foot, and we needed somebody to go out there. He had done it before, but his home position is to play defensive end, and we'll need him this week.
Matt, Blake Lynch, how difficult is making that move? I don't think he's played cornerback in several years.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to do that?
I think Blake Lynch moving in 1 week to corner, and then the level of play that he's played at, the first play of the game against Duke, they tried to throw a post on him. That's one of the unsung stories to me of this football team. Just a guy that really played quarterback in high school. I mean, he might have played a little defensive back. We talked about playing him at linebacker even, and to go over and play corner in this league and to play at the level that he's playing at is just a credit to him. it's a credit to Francis Brown, the defensive backs coach, because he works with him constantly. But I think Blake has really saved the football team, because not a lot of guys would have done that. And, you get some injuries on offense, Platt's gone, and you say to yourself, boy, sure would love to have Blake over there. We put him in for 2 snaps on offense against Kansas State as well. So he's playing on special teams. But what he's doing is so hard to do. Not many people can go from not even having played corner, go from receiver and go over and play corner and play at the level that he's played at. And it's truly, really just a credit to Blake. I mean, just his toughness and his competitiveness. Sometimes I talk about being tough and people want to know what I mean. I want Blake Lynch. Like just goes out there and competes no matter what. And if you beat him, he gets angry. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't shrink. He goes out there and continues to try to do it. So he's really a positive story to me on this football team.
Can you talk about Clay Johnston, what he's meant to that defense alongside Taylor? I mean, leads the team in tackles, tackles for loss, and you can just see him. He's going to be a star here as he progresses. Next year.
Yeah, I think Clay's been a real bright spot defensively, and made some impact plays. I think the Duke game, he made a ton of impact plays. And you see him getting more and more comfortable, and you look back at last year, he was really playing defensive end, kind of rushing off the edge. So this is his first time being in the middle, and I think he's playing really well. And broke his hand in the Kansas State game, casted it up and went out there and was trying to tackle with one hand in a cast. Had surgery Tuesday, and he's out of practice yesterday. I mean, that's the type of kid we're talking about. But he comes from a great family. His dad's a longtime veteran NFL strength coach. His dad's been through it. His mom's been through it. I mean, he comes from a family that he knows how to work. He knows how to play. He knows how to play the game. And Clay just tries to get better each and every day. And you can coach him as hard as you want. And by him allowing us to coach him, you see his play get better and better and better. Mike Saravo's had Luke Kuechly, he's had Matakevich. He knows how to coach guys that want to be coached. And so I think Clay will get better and better and better. I think he's a future All Big 12 player and really an impact guy for us.
What happened early on in the week last week, the events of players no longer being on the team? Did you maybe learn anything from this group, from that you maybe didn't know before?
I just think that our players, crave structure and discipline, and there's a lot of guys that do things right, and they just want to know that the other guys in the locker room are to the best. We don't want anybody. No one's going to be perfect, but they want to know that the guys are doing what they're being asked to do. What we ask our players to do is really tough. We ask them to get up early. We ask them to take care of their bodies. We ask them to do the right things off the field in the community. We ask them to go to school and be good students. And when they don't, we hold them accountable to it. Just like we hold our coaches accountable if they don't do the right things. And so I think we have a really good group of kids that do things right, and they just want to know that everyone else in the locker room's in it with them. And I was really pleased with our team last week, and as I said, unfortunately a couple kids aren't here, and great kids, and they're going to continue to go to school. Other kids, I say kids are really young men, right? Men, they make mistakes, and so we'll just try to deal with it and bring them back and try to make sure that when guys leave here as seniors, they're the best man, the best student, and the best football player that they can be. And so we have a lot of guys trying to do that.
You talked about the injuries, and what does that show you as a coach when they get injured, they wrap their hand up, wrap their leg up, whatever, get back in there? What does it show you as far as the size of their heart and their willingness to lay it on the line and do whatever it takes to help this team win?
Well, we have a lot of guys that are sacrificing, how they feel for this team, and they'll do whatever it takes for us to win and move forward. And I think it shows, we have a lot of faith in our medical staff, because as a coach, I don't want to put anybody out there that's going to make themselves worse or, injure themselves worse. But we have, great trainers, great doctors that, say to the kids, if they can go, they go. If they can't go, then we don't want them to go. But, we have a lot of kids like Clay, like Taylor, that are willing to play through the bumps and bruises, and in some case, breaks, in order to help the team win. And that's really, at the end of the day, if you're a football player, if you're a competitor, while you love to win, you love to go out there and compete. You love to go out there and play against somebody. And when you have a chance to get in the game, you don't want to come out of that game for anything. And, when I was in the NFL, I saw that firsthand. You see guys, crawl into the training room on Monday, get themselves bodies right, come back, and they play on Saturday. And so I think when you see guys like Clay, you see guys like Tayon out there just fighting to get themselves healthy so they can go play as well as they can for Baylor, it's inspiring. It makes you as a coach want to work harder and do a better job for them so that they can taste the fruits of their labors.
Josh Gordon, said essentially that the old Baylor staff enabled his drug abuse that continued in the NFL. Has that been an issue that you've had to address or face in your changing the culture here so far?
And I saw that before I came on. I think Taylor came running up to my office to make sure I see it. No. You know, when I got here, Mac had already instilled, and not when I say Mac, I shouldn't even say that. I said the university, as part of the recommendation, had already instilled a very robust drug testing program. And so when that happens, there's no decisions by coaches. You know, it's standardized and there's protocol. And I think as coaches, it's people across campus. So it's what they've done is they've done a nice job of standardizing that. At the same time, I believe in drug testing, and I don't believe in it to catch kids and get them in trouble, but to keep kids from behaviors that are going to, lead to lives that they don't want to lead. I don't want kids to pick up habits here that lead to them not being successful later on in life. So, like I can tell you, we drug tested before the Kansas State game on Thursday, University, and we drug tested Sunday after the Kansas State game. Not many people do that, but we do that because we want to make sure our kids are being successful, have an excuse to say no, and doing the right thing. So. I'm just, when I hear things and, I see things that happen in the NFL, I'm just grateful for our staff, we don't look at ourselves as football coaches whose only job it is to win, though it is our job to win. But, we look at ourselves as we're supposed to help these kids make sure that they have the most successful life that they can. And so we believe in accountability, and I believe in consequences. I believe in tough conversations. I believe in second chances. I believe in grace, but I also believe in, justice. And so we're trying to do that. But I think that they've done a really nice job here of making sure that there's protocol so that I can't circumvent anything, which I wouldn't do anyway.
What are your plans at punter this week moving forward?
We've had like literally I've gotten emails. We've had open tryouts. We've had I think Connor ready to go if we need him. P.D. Webster's done it before, so he's our backup. So we'll try one of those two guys. James Lynch, he's a freshman D tackle, but he was an all-state punter. He just hasn't done it, so it's kind of, I don't know that he'd be ready to get ready this week. But I think we'll probably have to go with that plan of getting Connor going. We'll see what Pete Webster can do today. So they'll kind of duke it out, and we'll try to bring James along so that if in 3 or 4 games, it's really not I think Connor can do a good job. It's just really more of the strain that puts on his leg of kicking off, punting, and kicking field goals. That's hard. So we'd like to get someone to take one of those 3 jobs off of his plate. So we'll see. But right now, if we played today, he would be out there doing all 3.
Would Galix be eligible for a medical red shirt?
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Galix, would he be eligible?
Yeah. I don't know. So technically, no. You can play in 4 of the first 6 games. He kicked off the opening kickoff of the 5th game. The clock hadn't even started yet. So technically, no. But you never know. I mean, you can always file a waiver and hope that someone sees, some merit to, his season ended. With the clock still saying, with no time run off the clock. So we'll see. But I technically know that would be, he'd be a senior next year based upon the rules.
Mo being one of the few seniors on that offense, what have you seen from him leadership-wise and just how maybe he's become more vocal?
I'm really pleased with Maurice Porter. I mean, I think the thing about Mo, for a guy hasn't played a ton of football, I think he's getting better. He's played through, he didn't play the whole Oklahoma game, and he came back and fought through the Kansas State game. So I was proud of him for playing, feeling banged up, and I'm hopeful that he can be full strength against Oklahoma State, which we'll need him to be. I'm really pleased with his decision-making off the field. Like, you can see him making mature decisions, and in doing so, being a leader to the guys, because I think they've always respected Mo, and they want to hear what he has to say because they think he has great thoughts, but he's living what he says, and that's a really good thing. So I think hopefully down this stretch, I think we can see Mo play his best football and hopefully have a chance to go on and be a pro player. And but I'm proud of him. He's going to graduate. He's doing the right things off the field and playing through some nagging injuries. But I think he's playing pretty well, and I think what he's doing is he's allowing us to kind of bring Malin along, who I think is going to be a really special offensive tackle. And so I think he's doing a good job.
Anything else? All right.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you, man.